So next week will be the first day of my last year of university, and I was just sitting and just thinking about just like all the experiences I've had and just how good God has been to me in this time and how I'm finally like towards the end. And I don't think I ever really expected to completely finish all 4 years of university and do it all like in consecutive years. Like, I'm still completely shocked by this. I am a first generation university student, so this has been quite an experience for me. But God has been right there with me every step of the way, and I just want to talk to you guys about what that process looked like and how God's hand was in it for me. So this story starts when I was 19 years old. At this point, I was working as a medical assistant in the orthopedic clinic, and I was fairly happy, but I really did want to go to university. I have been wanting to go to university since I literally graduated from high school, but just different things did not allow me to be able to go in that direction. So towards the end of my senior year of high school, I was accepted into a university, and I also had applied for the United States Air Force, and everything was looking promising. I was like signed up to go to MEPS and everything, but things started getting crazy, and eventually I did not go in that direction, nor was I able to go to university. So fast forward, I tried to get into community college. That didn't work out, so I ended up getting a job working as a associate in a retail store working at Charlotte Russe. I worked there for quite some time, and then I ended up going to school to be a medical assistant. And then after that, I went to school to be a medical assistant and a phlebotomist. I got my certifications, and I started working in a orthopedic clinic. So at this point in my life, I was satisfied, but I still really wanted to go to university. I only wanted to go even more working as a medical assistant, being around like doctors and nurses and stuff. I knew I could do more than what I was doing. So finally, I prayed and I was just like, Lord, I really would love to go to university, but I just don't see how that situation would happen. I literally did not see at all how I was going to be able to go to university. It just seemed like a hard thing to do. The applying process, I really didn't have much knowledge, because when I did apply for the university I got accepted to when I was in high school, I had counselors and friends to help me out. But now I was kind of by myself, and I didn't really have anyone in my family who had went to university to be able to help me with this process. I was also 19, about to be 20, and I just felt like, well, this is ridiculous to me now, but I felt like, could I go to university? Like, now I'm starting off like really late. I'm calculating how old I would be about the time I graduated, and I'm like, do I really want to go to university now, knowing that many years of my life will be spent in school? I just didn't see how going to university would be an easy process or be reasonable for me and my situation at that time. So again, I prayed and I was just like, Lord, this is what I want to do. And I really felt in my spirit God just say, just step out and just pick a school you want to go to and start the process. So I started doing research on the schools that we had in my state and just looking at their requirements, and I came across the school that I'm currently going to now. And the requirements seemed fairly easy for me to get in, so I prayed. I started on the application. I went through the website of the university looking at what you needed to do to get accepted. I was on the undergraduate admissions website like constantly looking at all the different things and just like advice that they give so that your application can run smoothly. And at times when things seemed like I wasn't understanding, I would call the undergraduate admissions office and ask for help, and they were very helpful, and they would give me advice and tell me what I needed to do to get certain documents and stuff to them. The whole time I was applying, the process was literally so smooth. Like, once I figured out what I had to do, I would go do it, send it to the school, everything would work out fine. So eventually I sent in everything I needed, and I was just waiting for my decision. I was really nervous, and I really did expect to be denied. I didn't think I was going to get accepted. I just had like all these negative thoughts in my head that definitely the enemy put there. Now when I think about a lot of the questions and stuff that I had and all the things that were telling me why I shouldn't go, they literally made no sense at all. Another problem was I had literally just started this job as a medical assistant. I had only been working there for like a month and a half, And I felt really bad about, you know, if I did get accepted and decide to go to school, just completely up and leaving. I was the only medical assistant that worked in that clinic, and I was working for 4 doctors. That is like a whole nother story. That situation was really something else. But yeah, I just felt like I was going to be abandoning them if I just up and decided to leave. I also had people telling me I was crazy to want to leave the company that I was working for, because it's actually a really like major company that everybody wants to work for. It's really hard to work for that medical company. And so a lot of people were just like, you know, I've tried my whole like life or for many years to try to work for them, and I've never been hired. They had good benefits, they paid really well. Like I was like, I don't know if I'll ever get a job this good. Even if I do go to university and get a bachelor's degree, I don't know if I'll ever get a job that literally is so good as the one that I currently have right now. I was very fortunate to be my age and working at this job that I was working at, getting paid what I was getting paid, getting all the benefits that I was getting. But that was just like, you know what? You really don't want to be here. I wasn't really happy. I didn't have joy where I was, or feel like, you know, this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So eventually I did get my acceptance letter, and I was literally so shocked, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is actually happening. I'm actually, you know, might have a chance to go into university. The thought was like very exciting, but it was also like very scary, because I had no idea what to think or how to navigate through life as a university student, except for like what you see on TV. The next issue that I had to try to figure out was paying for university. Obviously, school is not cheap, so I was just like, you know, I don't know where the funds are going to come from. My parents were not going to be able to pay for me to go to school. I could not afford to pay for myself to go to school. And so now it was time to get back on my knees and pray. And I'm like, Lord, okay, I've been accepted. If it is your will, God, like, I need you to provide me with some type of financial aid or something, so I can be able to afford to pay for going to university. So I remember after praying, I went online to the financial aid website for the school that I go to, and I looked at like loans and things that they offered to students. I came across something, and it said that it was a way that the school paid for tuition and fees for students depending on like how high their GPA were when they graduated from high school. If it was at a certain GPA and they met a certain requirement of how much money their parents make, then they could qualify to get their tuitions and fees paid for by the school. So when I saw that, I was literally like, I think I may qualify for that. And I remember calling financial aid, and it was just like asking them about it and saying, you know, if there's an application I can fill out so that I can try and get this financial aid. And the lady told me, she was like, oh, you don't apply for it, it's only offered to you. So I remember when she told me that, I was slightly discouraged, because I was like, how are they gonna know that I qualify? Like, I didn't understand the whole process. So I was like, okay. So again, I got back on my knees and I just prayed, and I'm just like, Lord, like, I need this financial aid. If I don't get it, I don't think I'm going to be able to go to school. So fast forward, some time goes by, and I receive my financial award letter in the mail. And to my surprise, I was offered this financial aid from the school for them to pay for my tuition and fees, as well with a whole lot of other things I did not know that I qualified for. And literally, when I tallied up all the amount of financial aid that was offered to me, it was literally more than enough to pay for my whole semester, or my first semester of college. And I was literally so surprised. Like, I just remember just being like so shocked, but also like literally like wanting to cry, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is actually happening. Like, I've been accepted into this university. Now they're offering me money to be able to go. At this point, I was like, there's no reason I should not go to university. But there was still one problem. I had not told my job that I was considering going to university. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I have to talk to them and I have to tell them about the situation. Otherwise, you know, who knows what's going to happen. Like, I need to figure out what to do. This like really burdened me. I was like so scared going into work every day, feeling like I had a big secret on my shoulder. And the more the days went by, I was for sure that I was going to do it, even though of course I still had a lot of questions and didn't really know what to expect going into university. I figured I should just throw all my chips in one basket and just take a chance and trust God and just do it. So eventually I started looking up how you are officially supposed to resign from a job, and doing all these things, and, you know, writing the letters and whatnot. And it ended up working out just fine because there was actually the medical assistant who worked before me actually went to school to become a nurse, and now she was coming back to work at that clinic. And so there was going to be someone there to help out and everything like that. So they were also trying to get another medical assistant to come and work with us from like a different building, a different part of this company that they had in a different city. They were trying to get people to come there to work there at this point. So finally one day I went into the office and I sat down with my manager, and I just was truthful with her, and I told her, I said, okay, here's the situation. I was accepted into university. I told her about how they offered to pay for my tuition and fees, and she was so excited. She was literally so happy for me, and she was just like, what, are you serious? Like, that's so amazing. She's like, you have to take this offer. You know, things like this don't happen all the time. And I remember just feeling like, oh my gosh, like I literally had spent so much time being like so nervous and so scared to go in the office and speak with my manager and tell her about this. But she was also a parent herself, and so of course she could understand and was happy for me being that I was as young as I was, and she was probably just more excited that I would be able to have this opportunity to go to school and whatnot. She ended up telling all her managers, like the supervisors and stuff, and they were also really happy for me, and they were just like, you know, you have to take this opportunity and stuff like that. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe I spent so much time like being nervous. And it was like weeks after I had found out that I was going to officially go to school. Like, I didn't tell anyone because I just thought that they were going to be upset with me, and they were literally not upset with me. They were so excited for me. So at this point, God's favor was on me. Was He got me accepted. He got me the financial aid that I needed, and honestly, I was happy just with that. But it definitely does not stop here. God continued to have His hand in everything. So something else on the financial award letter that I was awarded was work study. So I was going to be able to get a job and have money come in, you know, through work study. And so you still had to apply and everything. Just because you're offered work study doesn't mean they're going to automatically offer you a job at school. So that was the next thing I had to pray about. I was like, God, I need this work study money, so I really need you to help me to find a job, hopefully on campus, because I didn't have a car. So I'm like, God, I'm going to need you to provide a job for me, because I need to be able to have this extra income while I'm in school. So fast forward, new student orientation happened. Everything went smooth. I had no problems there. And we ended up being able to have access to our student emails. And I had tons of emails telling me that, you know, you have been offered work study, so here's websites that you can go on so you can apply for jobs, and apply for jobs also related to the university. So I remember there were tons of on-campus jobs available, and I applied to like 7 different positions. And that same week I got called for like 3 or 4 different jobs. I had like 3 or 4 interviews that they called me and let me know, you know, we want to offer you an interview. One of them was with the undergraduate admissions office, and they were the first ones to give me an interview. So they called me and they were like, we, you know, want to interview you for this position. And I said, okay. And then they picked a time and they said, we want to do a phone interview with you. Is that okay? And I was like, yes. We picked a time. It was like a week later or something like that. I had the phone interview. It went great. And then after that, I can't remember if I got the job on the spot or if it was like a few days later. But I remember it was like no time at all. Like before, I couldn't even like think or process anything. I had literally been offered the job. Yeah, I was just really excited to have the opportunity to work for the undergraduate admissions office of my school, because I'm like, Lord, how did I go from, first off, like no one in my family has been to university yet. Now I've been accepted. Now I've offered this financial aid, and now I'm going to be working for the school. Like, what? Are you serious? School had not started yet. We hadn't even moved into our dorms yet, and I had already had secured a job working at the school, and it was going to be at the undergraduate admissions office. I literally had started working there my very first day of college, and I literally still work there to this day. I love working there. I get to literally help students all the time. It's like my main job is like helping students on the phone and doing a whole bunch of other things. Almost said my school. I get to help students get into our university, and I just think that's so amazing. And I think that's just how awesome God is. Like, he was like, I'm gonna do more than just get you into the university. I'm gonna get you in there and have you help others who were like in your situation. Like, I get calls all the time, and students are like so nervous, and they're like, you know, no one in my family has ever been to school and I'm just trying to get in, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm so sorry. They're like always apologizing because they think they're like being a burden because they're calling, and I'm like, no, like you're good, like let me help you. Like I'm so excited to like help students who are also first gen like me, and sometimes I'd be on the phone with them longer than necessary, giving them like all these tips because like I've been in their shoes and I've been in their spot. So I'm like, do this, do that, make sure you do this, giving them all these phone numbers to all these different departments, like call them if you have this issue. Like it's just really so amazing to know that God just, he sees the bigger picture. I would have never thought, when getting a job on campus, I would have been given this opportunity. Does not stop here. So every semester, my college does a theme for what we call the common experience, and basically there's like a big theme or something that we focus on, and the freshmen have to read a book that's centered around this theme. And then we also have guest speakers come to the university and they do presentations and speeches and stuff like that on our school, and it's like really a big deal. So the theme, when I came into university as a freshman, our theme was literally justice. If anyone doesn't understand why that is like a big deal, that's because that's literally my name. My name is Justice. So I just literally was like, Lord, like as if all these other things that have happened that got me to this point, I just think it's so crazy how the theme this is like justice. If you're not trying to speak and tell me like already that like my hand is in this and like I'm having favor on you, like now it was like clear to me, like okay, like literally what's happening, right? It doesn't stop there. So we had to read this book by Bryan Stevenson called Just Mercy. For all the freshmen, we had to read it, and in our US seminar class we would do like activities and just like discuss the book. And I remember like a lot of people for this class, they don't take it seriously. It's like an easy A. This professors typically give really easy assignments. This is pretty much a just show up and you'll get an A in the class type of class that you take. It's literally easier than most high school classes. But I remember I read the book over the summer and I really loved it. So when I went to this class, I really engaged in like what was happening and the discussions and stuff. My professor, she just really grew like favor on me. She just really seemed to really like me. So we were like really cool. So Bryan Stevenson was going to be coming to our school to do a speech. He was one of our guest speakers, and we had already knew this, coming into the semester, that Bryan Stevenson was going to be the guest speaker, and of course we were reading his book at the time. So fast forward through the semester, I'm literally sitting at work one day when all of a sudden I noticed that I got an email. So I check my email, and it's the email from my professor asking me if I wanted to have dinner with Bryan Stevenson. What? I was literally so shocked, and I was like, is this real, or is this something that was sent to all the freshmen? Like they're asking us like who wants to have dinner with Bryan Stevenson, and maybe they'll do some type of like, I don't know, drawing or something, and you can win a chance to, have dinner with him. And so I was like, I don't really know what this email is about, but I responded and I was like, yeah, I would love to. And she was like, okay, I'll send you the menu for, pick out what you want to eat and everything, give you all the details and stuff about where it's going to be and all this stuff. And I remember being like, wait, like this is for real? Like she just asked me this and like I'm literally like it's going to happen? What? I was literally so confused, but I was like, okay, let's just go with it. So she did end up sending me the menu, and I noticed there was like 5 or 6 other students. I want to say it was like 5 other students that had also been given this opportunity. So we got to pick what meal we wanted at this nice kind of like fancy restaurant that they have in our city. So we got to pick what we wanted to eat. We got to pick a dessert and pretty much anything we wanted. We got to pick an entree, all this. And she told us when it was going to be and what time it was going to be at. We had to, make sure you dress nice, and they were like, yeah, so you guys are going to be having dinner with Bryan Stevenson. And at first, that's all they had told us, so, and which was great. I was like, okay, cool. So it did happen. One day, the day that he came to do the speech for the school, before he did a speech, he came and we had dinner with him. It was literally such an awesome opportunity. He's literally one of the most humble people I have ever met in my life. There was literally me, the like 5 other students, my professor, who I found out was in charge of the common experience, which is why she was able to allow us to be able to do this. and there was like 2 other faculty members, and that's it. Like that, we were the only ones there. We had our own reserved spot in the restaurant. In fact, I think the whole restaurant was shut down. There was no other people in there, maybe a few people, but we had like our own private section. And you know, they brought us our meals and they brought us dessert and stuff, and we just got to chat with Bryan Stevenson and ask him questions. He signed a copy of our books, and then we also got to take a picture with him. Insert picture here. So I thought that was it. Like, okay, this was such an amazing experience. Like, I'm already like overjoyed. Like, this is so cool. And then turns out we also got reserved seatings at the speech, which is a big deal because the common experiences at our school, they are first served to the freshman students, and then sophomore, juniors, and seniors can come. But the places literally, like, their seats completely fill up real quick. Most professors always, regardless of like what your major is or what classes you're taking, most professors offer extra credit if you go to these speeches and write papers and stuff. So literally, like, the whole school tries to come to these things, but they're usually can only sit like literally less than 1/4 of the school. Like, there's not enough space in these auditoriums for literally everybody to come to these things. So people get there really, really early, like hours early, so that they can come and see these speeches and stuff that are done for the common experience. So we got reserved seating, front row, you know, with the whole little fancy thing saying like reserved and all stuff like that, and we got to sit and see the speech up close and personal. So that was really, really awesome. Again, I was so excited, and I was just like, what is happening right now? Like, how did I get in this position? So it doesn't stop there. So I again thought, okay, well, that's cool. Like, we get this reserved seating, got to eat dinner with him. He signed our books. We took pictures with him. We conversated with him. This is so cool. But there was a exclusive dinner party after like he did his speech that, like, you know, top faculty, or I don't really know like what their positions were, but they were like really high like position people that were at this exclusive party. When I say exclusive, it was a really small, like, not like a whole bunch of professors or like professors of the school. Like, it was like Pacific people. Like, you had to be invited to this after party, and we literally were invited to this exclusive dinner party. So again, Bryan Stevenson was there. You had like these, I don't even know their titles. I didn't really bother to ask, but I just know some of them were like talking when they like introduced themselves to us. They would tell us who they were, and I was like, why are you even talking to me? Like, what the world? Like, they were literally so nice and so humble. They didn't treat us like, you know, we're just freshman students. Like, these professors and these elite people were just sitting in here coming up to us like, hey, what's your major? And just conversating with us, giving us like advice, and like telling them us like how, you know, their university experience was. And we were just all just eating like these little fancy finger foods and stuff. And literally, we were the only students in there besides the ones that were a part of the organization that put on the common experience. They were also there and got to like hang out and stuff. But really, we were the only students. The 5 or 6 of us were the only ones that were here, while the rest were just like, again, these important people. And so we're just in there eating and dining and talking, and it was literally like the best thing ever. So the night ended sadly, and I just remember walking back home in my dorm. It was like late at night, walking on the campus, and I was just like on an all-time high. I was just like, God, you are so good. Like, you know, I was just a freshman in college, so a lot of what I already experienced with God, how he got me into university, was still fresh on my mind. And I'm like, all that and now this, like, I was just like, wow, like, I don't even know. But yeah, I really hope that this encouraged somebody else just about how good God is, and how when you pray and you have faith in him and you trust in him, that he can do exceedingly and abundantly all you can ask or imagine. Like Romans 8:28, you got, for we know all things work out for the good of those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. Like, I just want to leave this with anyone who is a first generation for anything, not just university. You know, those were some amazing experiences that I had coming into college, but I have had some little rough patches along the way as well. But God has always came through. Like, I literally never expected that I would be here right now on my way into my last day or my last year of college. I've always have thought like something was going to happen. I've always woken up and just been like, this might be the day that everything just falls apart. So to me, it doesn't feel real that I get to be that person who gets to break that curse or break that situation off my family so that other people can come. My cousin is currently going to university, and she's going to the university that I am going to. That was crazy because one day I was just sitting at work and I got a phone call, and it was my aunt, and she had no idea that I would be the one to pick up the phone when she had questions on like my cousin needing help to like with her application and everything. And I don't know, it's just been such an amazing experience. But my tip would be just to remember that it's not just about you. Like, God is using you for more. God is trying to do something with a whole generation of people. He's trying to do something with your whole family. So you can't just take it personal every time little things like get in the way or little things happen. That's what I always have to remind myself, that I am opening doors not just for myself but for many people who are going to come after me. You are helping a whole generation of people into a new territory. But yeah, I hope this testimony blessed someone. Guys, remember to keep God first and to just trust him and to not put him in a box. And if whatever it is that you want to do, if it is lined up with his word, if it is lined up with his plans and his desires, then go for it. Do not hold yourself back because you are letting the devil lie to you and just put like bad things in your head. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be back with more videos.